Well, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And Jamie is my guest tonight, and he's just coming off one tough couple of big storms.
It's been an interesting few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in New England, you never know what you're going to get. We got 10 inches of rain, and
Well, we started out with really having a pretty good season.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden,
well, we 2 weeks before Christmas we got 2 inches of rain, which seemed like a lot then.
yeah,
Then a week after we got 2.5 inches of rain overnight. Then we got 11 inches of snow, wet snow that was supposed to be 6 inches of light and fluffy snow. And a couple days after that, we got 4.5 inches of rain in in a few hours overnight. So it's been interesting.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting month. It's been a lot for the guys, for the town. It's people have had it, and I get it. A lot of water caused a lot of damage, and you feel bad for people. But water's tough. Water's
right.
tough to
And
deal with.
there's not a lot of things you can do anything about. If you got water in your cellar, that's not the fault of the highway.
No, there's situations where sometimes it comes off the road. It does, but no drainage system's going to take 4.5 inches of rain in a couple of hours. It's just
Right.
nothing's designed for that, unfortunately. And people, the ground's saturated. There's really nowhere for the water to go anymore. If you put a bucket in the ground, you get a foot down, and the water's right there.
Oh, yeah.
And believe it or not, concrete's porous, so sometimes it just seeps in through the concrete of your basement, and it gets in that way. It's
And
tough. Water's tough.
If your house is down at the bottom of the hill,
Yeah.
come on.
You still feel bad for people because they call. I mean, it's people's houses. Their furnaces are getting underwater. Their finished basements. Their
Right.
stuff's getting ruined. It's tough, and it's tough to tell people that there's not a lot I can do for you. We'll help you as best we can, but sometimes it's a situation where we really can't do anything. It's reactive more than it's preventative. You can't stop 4.5 inches of water. It's impossible. I mean, Upton Street, that poor road's been washed out 3 times in the last month.
Yeah,
It's-
no,
it's-
before this past storm, that rainstorm,
Mm-hmm.
you actually had that brook overflow.
Yes, and it overflowed this time too. The problem, one of the
It
problems
wasn't
down
as
there.
bad though. Oh, it must have been in the middle of
This wasn't as bad this time with the 4 inches because it never had a chance to even get in there because it just stayed on the road, went right past everything, and went to all that water from the hills, trying to get down and get into the
Right.
Blackstone. It's been doing
Right.
it for a million years, and then we just put buildings up everywhere. That's what we do.
Yeah, I never seen that brook do that.
No, what happens now is the rivers are so the Blackstone's so high, the outlet pipe is at this height, and that's what
Right.
everything from Upton Street and 122 feet into. That's at this height. The water level's here. It's got nowhere to go, so it just trickles out, and then as soon as the water level in the Blackstone goes down, then it drains out. It's unfortunate in the meantime.
Though, the mill gets the water.
Curtain factory, the mill, the whole, they were under a lot of water again, and we go down there, we try and pump out what we can, we jet everything, but there's nowhere for it to go right now. It's
So
a problem.
At one time, I seen you guys trying to take the cover off the drain.
Anything to try and free it, just to
But
help them.
where was it going to go? The drain was filled to capacity.
You like to show people that we're there and it's not clogged. I mean, things do clog. I mean, drain
Right.
lines do clog. Oh,
But that one was just filled to
just
capacity.
filled to capacity. Yeah.
With no place for it to go.
The same thing happens on Leland Road with the drainage in the backyards. There's a
Right.
drain back there that ties into on Leland Road, but everything from Church Street feeds into the same thing. So once again, and that's not even a level, that's a pipe into a pipe. So you have the pipe that's this high, full of water coming down Leland Road from everything on Church Street, and then you have those other drain lines that are going into it. It doesn't go anywhere here. It backs up in their yards, and then all of a sudden, when this level goes down, this breathes out, and it goes up from house to house to house, right back up to the wetland area.
Right, and they're trying to say it's the problem of the construction that went on.
I'm sure that didn't help. I mean, it did change the hydrology.
Well, I think it probably helped a little bit to lower it because they've got detention.
They have retention
ponds.
ponds, and the retention ponds do work up there. We monitor them because it's an ongoing issue. We're actually just about done with a hydrology study over there, so we're going to have a plan that'll be construction will happen this year over there to try and ease some of that flooding. So we're trying. I mean, these problems pop up. We try to address them. You have to go through a lot of hoops sometimes to get funding and all the
Right.
studies you have to do to get it done the right way with the environmental and conservation and things like that. And we're working on it.
But
It's
that drain eventually ends up in a Mumford.
everything ends up in the Mumford on that side of town.
Yeah, and that's still quite a distance to go.
Yeah.
So There's a lot of room for a pipe to get clogged up.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
And it's almost impossible to keep it clean.
It falls very, very hard because no matter, I mean, if you put a person at every catch basin 24 hours a day when it rains,
Yeah,
the leaves come on it, they'd rake it off.
right.
And then 10 minutes later, the leaves will be back on it because it just rolls down
But
in
it
the
gets
gutter.
into the pipe, and then the pipe starts getting clogged.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do. And if the river's high, it's just not gonna drain into it.
It makes it very difficult. It makes it impossible, actually. So we try. And like I said, it's tough to deal. You feel bad for people. I know when I came into work the other night, my basement was taking water. I mean, it happens. It
Right.
happens. It's not.
Because Rockdale is the lowest village on the Blackstone between Worcester and Providence.
That I didn't know, but now I know it.
Yeah. I mean, there's other low spots, but there's no village.
Yeah.
This is the lowest village. You look at the other villages, go into Grafton, go to Millbury.
Yeah, it's true.
There's
They
a
are
high
all higher.
bank.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not much of a bank here.
No, so it doesn't take much before it's overflowing. And, that's where they settled, I mean, because they wanted to get the fall.
They used the rivers were everything. It was the power. It was
Right.
the drainage. It was the sewerage. It was the electricity. It was transportation.
Yeah.
It was everything.
And for years there was a dam there, and cars took it out because they were told either fix it or take it down. So they said, well, we'll take it
Take
down.
it down.
But prior to that, you had a huge floodplain that was always flooded.
Yeah.
So it was never a situation where it was controlled. I think Riverdale has done better to control it.
It's worked out well. It got up to, was it last night at midnight or 11 o'clock when it peaked out? I think it was like 9.5 feet, almost 10 feet. And it was controlled, so the water was right up to the peoples that live right on the water there on
Right.
downtown Rockdale. It got right up to them, but it never got into their houses. It got close,
Yep.
but it wasn't as bad as it was a couple, 2-3 years ago when it ended up cresting and come across, which
Right.
it never hit the bridge, but it was right below it. But for some reason, that particular day, it came across 122 in a small area, and then it receded fairly quickly, which was good.
One of the good things they did was when they put the new bridge in, they took the tier that was in the middle out.
Yeah, the baffles, that way
Yeah.
it doesn't hold as much stuff.
Right,
Yeah, that helps.
yeah. That new bridge did make it much better.
It was a little higher than the last one too, if everything I read was correct,
Yes,
which
it
helps.
is. It is a little higher. So anyway, I grew up in Rockdale, so I know firsthand. I went through the flood in '55.
That's a little before my time, but
Yeah, that was a real serious one. We lived on the first floor, and we were 3 feet above the street, and we still had 4 feet of water in the house.
wow. Yeah, that's a real flood.
Yeah, oh
That's
yeah.
a real flood.
But anyway, you got a whole new crew.
Mostly, yeah. We got a couple people that are still there. Some of our senior employees. They've been there for quite a few years. But for the first time since I've been here, we're full. We have
You've got a full
every
crew, but these
every
are new
crew
guys
full.
now.
Yep.
They got to get used to plowing these roads.
It's a blessing to have younger guys because they're willing to do a lot. They're younger. They're
Yep.
ambitious, and and unfortunately sometimes you lose the knowledge that the older crew had. And it's a balance. So there's learning curves. Sometimes they plow a sidewalk that's not there, and they'll learn. You have to be patient. I mean,
Right.
When these guys, the last snowstorm that was supposed to be 6 inches, and it was, which happens. I mean, it is what it is. It lasted quite a while, and these guys
It
were all
wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
It just kept coming down.
These guys were all plowing in the big trucks in their 1 tons, and then going out and salting and sanding, and then you ask them to go into a sidewalk tractor for the first time after they've already been up for 30-something hours
Right,
in the middle of the night.
yeah.
You can't see anything. The sidewalks are under not 11 inches of snow, but the windrows that are 3-4 feet high.
Yeah.
They don't know where the sidewalks are. Things happen.
Right.
What we always try and tell them is just the slower you go, the faster you go. You just got to go slow. You're gonna hit things. You're gonna dig up loom. You're gonna miss sidewalks. It's unfortunate. It happens. It's a learning curve. It really is, like anything
Right.
else. You gotta be patient.
Right, yeah. Same with plowing the roads. I mean, you try your best not to jump the curb, but
You try not to hit the berms. It happens.
Right.
You try not to hit mailboxes. A lot of the times the mailboxes aren't hit by the plow. It's actually hit by the slush. And
Right. Yeah, and
it
if you
knocks
get
it
a wet
over.
storm,
Yeah.
like
Well,
we
this one
had.
was surprisingly heavy. The first
Yeah.
Like 7, 8 inches of this snow. That first wave that came through was really heavy.
Yes.
The last 4 or 5 inches we got actually was a little lighter, but it was already saturated anyway, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like that nice little light snow that you get sometimes in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that's nice to work. I don't care if I get, 18 inches of that because my snowball will go right
Blow
through
right
there.
away. Yeah.
But you can get that, just a small amount of snow, but it's so wet that just, you can't move
It's
it.
heavy. It's slippery.
Yeah.
Forms the ice underneath. So, but we have a full crew. They did great.
Yes, they did.
We equipment wise, we had no breakdowns. Minor little
Yep.
pins pop out, but that was good. Contractors, we retained just about everybody from last year. We did lose one. He had a new baby, so he didn't have the capacity to come in. But we kept most of our contractors, which is good. I mean, we're always looking for a few more, but
Yeah.
we make do with what we got. We're fortunate now the sewer department has full ranks, so we utilize them plowing too. So it's good. It's a process. It
Yeah.
takes time.
Well, you got a lot to do. I mean, you got all the town buildings you got to clear out.
Well, after a typical snowstorm, I mean, the guys get in there. They treat the main lines and hills first, then plow for however long that takes. Then after they're done plowing is when we start the cleanup, which consists of all the sidewalks in downtown Whitensville, all down to the Bomber School, Main Street, basically everything within a mile of the school. For the most part, we try and do one side of sidewalk on each of those roads as best we can when there's cars not parked on it. Then we have to go treat all of the secondary roads with mix and or salt. Then we have to have guys go out and snow blow and shovel all the town buildings. Then we got to plow the cemeteries when we're done with that.
Yeah,
So it's a lot for the 8 guys we got. It's a
Right.
lot, and 5 guys at the sewer. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
now, did you find a problem with parked cars?
This time, not. I mean, there's always situations, and people do their best to get off the road, and sometimes they'll pull in their yards, and their cars will hang on into the sidewalks, and we tell the guys that are plowing the roads and sidewalks, don't cut it close, stay away, don't damage a car. I mean, we can always go back later and touch up the sidewalks. It's a juggling act with that. You don't want to hurt people. I mean, for the most part, this town's really good. We don't have big issues with parking. There's a few situations, but nothing that's
Yeah, you get in
Been
the
that
city, you end up
serious.
towing them.
yeah. City's a little tougher because there's not a lot of room to put stuff, and it's a lot more confined space.
Right.
We have a little bit more leeway, and it's a smaller town. I mean, we do the best we can to work.
You got the city people try to reserve spaces.
Yeah, and they put all the chairs and
Right.
whatever they can put out there.
Right, and that's not legal either.
No,
You can't reserve a public spot,
no, you can't.
but they do it. You don't have that problem here.
No, we don't. Thankfully,
And this last time, you don't have to do any snow removal.
we haven't had to do any in a while.
Really?
This one was great because it all melted, so it made it a lot easier. The last few years, what we've seen is it's the winters where you get that slow, steady snow for like every other day or every week, and it just piles. Now we get a foot of snow in a night,
Yeah,
and then the temperatures go back up, everything melts, and then you start again.
right, so you don't have to worry about getting out there and cleaning the streets.
Yeah, it helps. It helps.
Right. You don't have the snow throwers anymore
We do. We have 3 of them. We have them for the sidewalk blowers.
for the sidewalk.
But the ones we got now for the track machine we've used that. That can fill up a truck real quick.
Oh,
real
really?
quick. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's actually easier with those because they can do it during the day. We've done it like on Church Street, for example.
Yeah.
We'll just block off a section when we get there in the morning. The sidewalk tractor will push it, but then the blower can get right up on the sidewalk. We blow it into a 1-ton, so that way traffic can keep going. We blow it into a 1-ton,
Yeah.
and it's business as usual. It's a little inconvenient when you're driving by, but you can do it during the day. The guys aren't there all day, all night, all day, all night, and
Right.
it gets the vast majority of it. It works.
one of the problems you got to, where do you put the snow?
We only have one place we can dump right now, which is they used to dump in several places, but we got a map a few years back that had red spots on it from the state that said you couldn't dump because it was in floodplains, wetlands, etc.
Right,
So where our snow dump is, the one we've utilized since I've been here, is at the Linwood Ball Field. We
Oh.
can dump there. That's where we've That's where we've dumped snow since I've been down here in the last 10 years. So it's a good sized spot. You know, it takes
Yeah.
a lot of snow there, and it's out of the way. And you can still park cars in there. You know, we haven't filled it, thank God. Not yet, anyway.
I remember when they used to be able to dump it in the rivers.
When I first started working, we used to be able to dump it in the rivers, but you can't do that anymore.
No, and that was nice because it just flowed away.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't even blow the snow over the bridges into the rivers,
Yeah, I
which
know.
amazes me because that's fresh snow. There's nothing in it yet.
Right.
But
And you know, and it fell in the river when it was coming down. So what the hell?
you can leave it on the bridge and it'll melt and go into the catch basins with all
Right.
the muck in it and go down, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But you can't blow it when it's fresh snow. So
Right.
it's just silly little things like that have changed through the years.
Now the other problem you've had in the past is people leaving stuff out on the sidewalk.
That still happens. You can't. I mean, you do the best to tell people not to do it, but they can do it 2 days after it snows. How, you know? And
Yeah.
well, I didn't do it. My neighbor did. I didn't do it. This. How do you prove it?
I
There's
know
not
one year you
cameras
ended
everywhere.
up hitting a mattress and
Oh, that happens. Oh, when you're going out picking up snow, I mean, myself even back in the day, I've chewed up mattresses, TVs, trash barrels.
Yeah,
You don't know
hit
what's
that
in
with
there.
a snow blower.
Yeah.
That thing's gonna be down for a long time. It's gonna take forever to clean that up.
Yeah. Oh, you got a call, I think, Harry.
Oh yeah, they'll get it done.
I heard it ringing.
But that's the other thing I want to tell you. I drive through town. I see furniture all over the streets.
Yeah.
You can't afford to be picking that up.
We don't. If the Board of Health calls us, that falls under them primarily. We definitely assist them in situations, but they do a good job of policing it themselves. You know, with what they can to get people to.
Do people
remove
get
it.
fined for leaving that out?
I don't know how they handle it. We don't get involved in that. When they call us, we're literally just, hey, can you go grab X? And we do. Oh,
Oh, here we go. Because that really bugged me, you know. Pay to get rid of it. Go ahead, Carl, you're on.
Hey, good evening, guys. How you doing?
All right, Barry.
hey Barry, how you doing?
Good. Just calling in to say, appreciate everything you guys do, and we know you try, to do the best you can, and just wanted to express our thanks there.
Hey, thank you, Barry. You know, like I always said, I'm only as good as my crew, and you know,
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate here through the 10 years. We've had some good guys, and we continue to have good guys because they're the ones that are out there driving, plowing, pushing, mowing the lawns, doing everything. You know?
Oh yeah, I know. I know. I hope someday they're able to give you a couple more guys because when they took over the cemetery, they were supposed to give you a couple more, but maybe down the road, who knows? You know.
You know, it's been a process. You know, we got it. The ranks full. I mean, and to be fair, it's tough to get guys to want to work in this field anymore. It's really becoming an issue. I know a lot of towns that have been down guys for a long time. We're pretty lucky right now that we have.
No, you're right. People don't want the job.
It's not as appealing as it used to be anymore.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of reasons, and we're very lucky we have what we have. If we can increase it, you know, in the future, we will. We do the best we can with seasonal help, and we keep guys around when we can, longer than seasonal, you know, and hopefully they'll backfill the ranks and go that route. So it takes time, you know, and the town's
yeah.
only got so much money. Every
Right.
town, you know, it's
Well,
it's tough.
I imagine you've already blown out the snow budget.
The snow budget was gone when you fill up. Actually, believe it or not, we were under it up until this last storm, but we didn't have to fill up the salt shed from last year. It was full.
Right.
So I mean, that's almost $100,000 right there just to fill up the shed. So
Yeah.
it doesn't go far. I mean,
Well, they always put in a small amount.
of course.
Right.
And then you make it up
Yeah.
if you have to.
There's ways.
Right.
There's ways. It's a budgeting thing. It makes more
Right.
sense for them to have a smaller budget allowed to that, and then to backfill it in other ways.
Yeah. Now I see that the plumbers were up at the Veterans Hall. Is that heating system getting back online?
The heating system's been online for 2 months now. We were just getting in there to finally finish up the plumbing. You know, the sinks, the toilet, and some water. So that
Right.
should be. Actually today we turned the water back on in there, so it should be up and running next week.
Mm-hmm.
So that building will be back up and running.
And to be cautiously optimistic, hopefully, they did something proactive so that won't happen again.
Yeah, we moved the electrical panel from where it was to another side of the different corner of the building to try and prevent what happened. Because it's a stone foundation, and what happened was a few years back we had some snow
Right.
and then rain.
Yep.
The rain got behind the snow, went through the stone foundation, went in the back of the electric panel.
Oh.
It was a long weekend. No one went there. Temperatures dropped. The pipes burst, flooded everything out.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a building that was not built for electricity.
Uh-huh. No, that was moved there, right, Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of early now. Do you think what roads you'll be able to hit? Like pavement roads for the upcoming season, or?
I have a list that I've been formulating since I started. So I try and pick away.
Yeah.
When I first started, there was 25 roads. We got about 10 of them, at least, if not 14 of them down. Every year, new ones come on. Unfortunately, this past year, we weren't able to finish the roads program.
Uh-huh.
We did Purgatory Road, which was the important one. That was the big one we had to get done. But we are going to go back and finish Elston Ave, and Sherry Street. They're going to be totally reclaimed. So those will be done first thing in the spring because that's still on the existing contract.
Uh-huh.
I am cautiously optimistic that all the promises I've made to the people on East Street are finally going to come to fruition, and we're going to get in there and do that road. I don't want to guarantee it yet, but I'm really targeting that road, and that'll be a big job. See what funds become available, and see if we can tap on some more roads on top of East Street for the upcoming year.
Well,
and the
Church
people
Ave,
on Church Ave, I got some friends there. They're on the list. Hopefully,
Church
a grant
Ave was
or something. I heard.
Church Ave was at the very top of the list, but right now, through the town planner, we are actually in the process. We're in the first stages of a CDBG grant,
Right.
which we're actually there's a selectmen's meeting the 22nd where we'll be discussing
Yes.
that. So if that all, we're in the it's preliminarily designed. It has to be submitted to the state in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hopefully get approval to go to the construction phase. It'll be 3 different phases if it all plays out. When everything's said and done, if it's all okayed by the state, you'll have new sidewalks, new sewer line, new water line. Drainage won't be new. There'll be some things added to it and fixed, and a brand new road. It's a
that'd be
complete
nice.
CDBG grant. It takes a little while, but if it comes to be, it'll be a fantastic job to get done.
Yeah, because we got water pipes in there that are
From
older than anyone in town.
the first section of water and sewer from 1920 something, and the second section is from the 1950s.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
The only reason I know that because we had to fill out all the paperwork
Right.
for it, so you come across all of it.
Right. I got a call today, and there's a lot of rumors about the state cutting back on funding for the cities and towns due to the I guess the budget shortfall, and hopefully, I guess just keep our fingers crossed.
Well, I will say one thing for the state so far. We just got awarded an extra $240,000 about a month ago. The governor and the lieutenant governor. It was a program they put in. I don't know the specifics, but for the roads, I got an extra $240,000. So we will be looking to use that up this year as well. So right now they've been giving us money. Let's hope
Hey,
it
take
keeps
it while you
there is
can,
a cut on
but
grants.
like I said, hopefully that some of the rumors I'm hearing that don't come to fruition.
Yeah, well,
Well, they've already cut some grants
Yeah.
that were coming through the Blackstone Valley Chamber. Jeannie Hebert was telling me she got a call,
Uh-huh.
and they're cutting about $325 million, I think.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
of the
I do
budget
have a call
shortfall.
into the administration and finance to see if we're going to be getting that block grant, but I haven't got a call back yet. So, the one they're talking about on the 22nd.
yeah. Well, that's light years away right now. I mean,
Oh,
we
I know,
gotta
I
really
know,
go
I
through
know.
the process.
Yeah. So, I mean, just, I guess, keep our fingers crossed,
Yeah. We're in the beginning stages of that. It takes time. Once again, it's a process.
Yeah,
The state
yeah.
doesn't hand over a big amount of money like that without due diligence.
Right.
Oh, I know. And like I say, keep our fingers crossed because who knows how things are going to go with the economy. And now, what are we getting, like 300 or 400,000 a year from Chapter 90?
Chapter 90 is a little over 400,000 every year. It's about 420,000, 427,000, give or take. That's been flat. Chapter 90 hasn't gone up in any town in over 10 years, I believe. That's been
Right. And the cost of asphalt.
well, the cost of asphalt is
has
quadrupled.
gone way up.
So, you used to be able to do 5 roads, now you can do 1.5 or 2,
Right.
So you get creative. Instead of reclaiming everything and putting 4 inches of asphalt, you cold plane it and put 2 or 3 inches in. So you save
Right.
a little bit to try and stretch it.
Right.
Yeah. The next time I see Adam every now and then down at a little restaurant downtown, and then I'm going to ask him because Harry, you remember when Ted was here? He set up town maintenance building fund from the solar projects.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to see, if they could, at least paint the inside of your building there for you, or maybe some windows, and kind of spruce things up a little bit until the town decides what they want to do for that with your building down there.
We facilitate that money every year for the buildings, for all the town buildings.
Yeah,
Right.
We do a lot of things with it. We were very fortunate a few years back to get the new garage.
Oh yeah, that was a miracle.
Most of our equipment's inside. I mean, yes, we've
Yep.
outgrown it, but
Yeah.
like everything else, we do have some plans to spruce up our living environment where our guys are, because, I mean, we don't have a shower for them down there. We only have one.
Right.
It's not much has changed in that garage, but we have some plans. Probably won't be this year, but, like I said, it's a process. It takes time.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, when I see them, I'm going to
supported-
say, I don't want them to forget about you guys down there.
They never do,
Well,
honestly.
I still say when we did the highway garage, we should have put the darn truck wash in and the shower.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have been that much more money.
No.
I know, but like I said, everything, you know how things go on in the town, Harry.
Right, well, I'm glad, at least with the
Oh.
fire department, we did go ahead and do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful building, and,
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think about it, if they had put the fire station before the turf field, we would have saved a lot more money.
Well, things would have been cheaper.
Right. But I mean, nobody knew that a pandemic was coming.
No,
Right.
no one predicted that one.
No.
All the towns do that. Uxbridge for 10 years fought over a new high school,
Oh yeah.
and finally when they built it, it cost them 5 times what it would have cost them if they had done it in the first place.
That's
Yeah.
just,
Oh, I know.
it's-
Like I say, it's everything. You just try to do the best you can.
Right. So,
And,
I say bite the bullet when you need to.
Yeah. Hey, one last thing, Jamie. Some people I know, they live down near St. Pat's and Ovian Square, and they said that, I guess you're aware of it, that traffic light's been
Yep.
out,
Yep, no,
knocked down or something.
that got knocked down in a traffic truck got knocked that down last I think February, I think it was, off the top of my head. Of course, everything was back ordered. I believe that is in. It should be going up. I have to speak to
Well,
our
that'd be great.
electrician.
Yeah, because some people they said they don't see the light there. They don't know what to do. What's going on?
Yeah, it's just a matter of it was back ordered. Well, not back ordered, but you couldn't get the parts for it.
Right, that's
Because
a-
they wiped out in 1 week. They wiped up 2 decorative lights and that traffic signal all in the same week. And the 2 decorative lights we got in finally. It took almost 8 months, but we got them in.
It's
They're up.
unbelievable how this stuff you can't
Oh, I
get
know.
it.
It's a supply chain. They saying.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
If a year ago you couldn't get anything, it was
Right.
really hard. It's getting better from what I've seen, at least in my little world. And I
Yeah.
don't deal with a lot of construction things, but it's getting better.
Right. Now were they able to get that decorative light down there near Gary's at the crosswalk?
That one's ordered. We have
Oh, okay.
that's ordered. Yeah, that one went down. That wasn't an accident. I don't know what happened there. I'll be honest with you. All of a sudden, someone called up and said it was in the woods, and we went down. Didn't even really know it was there, and we're looking around. Where's this light? And it was off into the woods. It's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I know. Things happen, just like Harry said that year that they put the mattresses out on the sidewalk and the snowblower got it.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you guys hang in there and do the best you can, and we appreciate everything you guys are doing, and just try to. I know everything, like you said, a lot there. Everything depends on money, and just try to do the best. And I know whatever you can do on the sidewalks too. I know people have been talking about that, but everything takes money.
Yeah, and we do what we can every year with sidewalks. We do
Right.
sections as we can. There's a lot of sidewalks in this town, and concrete's really expensive, but we do what we can.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Oh, yeah.
please
And,
everybody, but we try to
well-
please as many as we can.
Yeah, and when I see Adam, I'll tell him to make sure he keeps your budget up.
Yeah,
All right. Hey,
I
you guys be
appreciate
good,
it,
stay
Barry.
safe, and get ready for, I guess, another storm coming this weekend.
Yeah, we got another. Well, in theory, an inch and a half of rain, which seems like nothing now.
Yeah.
Compared to
It
what
seems
we've
like
gotten.
nothing, and then in theory, or they're predicting another little snowstorm on Tuesday, 3 to
Yeah.
6 inches, which once again
Which is-
doesn't seem like much.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then it's going to
yeah.
get
Hey,
warm.
well, we still got a few months to go.
Yeah, well, every week now we chip away. Just got to get
Yeah.
to that magic number of March 17th, the unofficial cutoff.
Right.
All right. Hey, hang in there. Stay safe and be well now.
Thank you very much, Barry. You have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, Barry.
Bye.
Yeah, on the sidewalks, when I was on a planning board, you were telling us, your department was saying that you'd rather have the asphalt, macadam sidewalks.
It's easy because it's easy to repair and it's cheaper.
Right.
But you know, a lot of these sidewalks, like up at China Rock, they're all failing. We've been doing large sections up there because I mean they were literally falling
not
apart.
that old.
No, that was a design issue. I mean, something happened there, but they're falling apart, and it's heavily walked up there. So we've been
Really?
allocating funds there, and then we try and do some sections on Hill Street, and we try and do sections in the East End where we can.
Right.
For a while, the first couple of years I was here, we put a push on all around the schools to do ADA ramps all the way, around,
Right.
which was the elementary school, which is gone now,
Yep.
but we ended up doing, we did over 15 handicap ramps. So, we made it a bullet point to do those, and we got a lot of those
But
done.
there again, a lot of people are out there in their wheelchairs now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are really good to have. Why leave people stuck? They deserve to be able to get around too.
Right now, we're hopefully getting into the construction phase in the spring or summer, hopefully, for Linwood Ave, which is going to see all new ADA ramps, large sections of sidewalk getting done, and a section of the road being repaved, including across the street from the football field, the turf field, where those orange barricades are. That will be a new sidewalk.
Oh,
So those serve the purpose for now, but that when this goes to break ground, that will be a sidewalk in
is
there.
this a grant?
This is a grant.
Oh,
This is a
okay.
grant. This is a 75% grant, 25% match. We already have that accounted for from last year.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of the state getting the okay. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's, and we're right there. We're
Right.
hopefully we'll be in the construction phase early this construction season. Not promising it, but that's the way it looks.
Well, some of that grant money comes from the feds.
This one wasn't, well, I mean, it all trickles down from the Fed
It
eventually.
comes through the state from the feds. So the money is there. It's not like there's a shortfall in the state budget.
Yeah. Well,
And-
the grant, all these grants, like the Complete Streets grant, which is the Linwood Ave one, it's a competitive grant. So that means there's 351 towns battling for
Right.
X amount of money.
Exactly.
So, everything gets rated and it's very competitive.
We do very well for grants.
We've done since I've been here, this town does very well.
Right.
When I first started, they were just finishing up the $8 million, $9 million Sutton Street.
Yeah.
That was a tip project. That's a big job. That was a big job. I just came at the very tail end of it, but $9 million, that's a big job.
I was on the planning board when he first came out, and I was the representative to Central Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And then it didn't get done because of the controversy over land takings.
Yeah.
So it ended up put on the back burner. That was in the 90s. It took until then.
When you have to do land takings, it definitely muddies the water. Everyone tries to stay away if you can from that.
Well, it was land takings and tree cuttings.
Yeah.
And it was a big uproar. But they had to because the street wasn't wide enough. And that's a heavy traveled road now.
And, I feel a situation up there when they put in the sidewalk, which never was one, before from what I
Right.
understand.
No, there wasn't.
Where they put in the sidewalks and then everyone's like, well, you don't plow them. We really only plow. I mean, we can't plow every sidewalk in town. It's impossible.
Totally impossible. There's
We-
too many of them.
We barely get what we get done just because of
Right.
how long it takes. But our primary focus on sidewalks are around school areas as best you can,
And the business
business
district.
areas, downtown Rockdale, downtown Church Street, around churches, places
Right.
of population like that.
Where people walk.
Primarily, we could never get all the way up to just to drive a tractor up all the way to Sutton
The
Street.
thing is, I feel that if you live near a sidewalk, clean it.
Now, it would be nice.
I know, you can't make it mandatory. I remember Dick Sawswell had an article on a town meeting warrant, this is a while back, that if you threw snow on the road, you'd get fined. Man, that wouldn't pass for nothing. And that's a problem for you guys. You try to clean the roads, and people are throwing their snow out.
It happens a lot. It happens frequently. You find. Once again, it's a two-way street. Someone shovels their snow blows, shovels their, or gets their driveway plowed, and then we still got to make our final passes. So now you're pushing everything back because everybody
Right.
wants to get close to the mailboxes, so you can get to the mailboxes or to the gutter and everything and widen it out. And then they'll come, then we drop our plows and go out and sand it, and all of a sudden they came back and did the driveway and they pull it right back out in the road. There's
Yeah.
no right answer. There's no right answer. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. It's just things that you
Well,
deal with in the
You
business.
gotta work at it. I work at it on my driveway. I don't put any snow in the road.
What I try and tell people, if you're going to pile up snow at the end of your driveway, do it down the street, down road from
Right. So when they go by
on the
with
right hand
plow,
side of the right hand
Yeah.
side of your driveway. So that way, when they come by with the plow, it's going to drag it past your driveway
Right.
as best as it can.
if you're gonna snowball like I do, I go right up to the curb, and I'll go right along and
Mm-hmm.
clear it down. So when they come down, there's no snow for them to push.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I got a snow blower, so it's not a big deal. I mean, I gotta go on the road for a little bit, but not a big deal. It's not, traffic is usually not that heavy.
Not during a snowstorm.
Right,
Well, actually, be surprised sometimes.
yeah, I know.
You'd be surprised how many times you see people out on mopeds and bicycles wearing black in the middle of the night in a snowstorm. It makes it a little tricky.
We got a couple of idiots that come here and do donuts in our parking lot.
Yep, that happens.
And, we've had, staff had cars out there and they did it, which is,
We ran into it, speaking of something like that, during this 4 inches of rain we got. Guys were there, we started setting up, because when we got a downpour in between like 2 o'clock or 1:30 and 3:30 that we got several inches of snow all at once, and we lost several roads. We were underwater. Church Street was completely underwater. Sutton
Church Street
Street,
Extension.
Church Street downtown.
really?
Church Street downtown was underwater. Sutton Street, Quaker Street up by School Street, School Street. There was about 5 or 6 areas that were completely inundated, so we started barricading the roads off. And legitimately, as soon as it stopped raining, everything started draining, which was odd. We thought we were going to have a problem. Oh, got a call.
Yeah, geez, I didn't realize Church Street was.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl, you're on.
Jamie,
Yes.
a little something to put in your book for things to do.
Sure.
The Causeway, Meadow Ponds.
Yep.
About 5 years ago, you guys chopped all those brush down so people can see the pond and stop there in the good weather with their kids and do a little fishing, just so you can see the pond. You can't even see the pond anymore. I know you haven't got many guys, but if you ever Boy Scouts or something, that should be done. That's a credit to this town, and you can't see it.
I can tell you before Christmas, before we ran into all these flooding issues, we actually had a list of areas. We got okayed from the conservation agent. We were going to start at where the new guardrail went up at the Linwood, the cotton mill. We were going to trim all that brush out of there. Then we were going to go down to Arcade Pond and just start doing all the waterways. We got the okay. We had the chipper all ready to go, and then we got 10 inches of rain. So
I know.
instead of
I just
cutting
thought
brush,
you put
we
it
were...
in your things to do list, and that arcade, the brush was hanging right over the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Like,
that-
people walking there, they brush it against the brush hanging into the sidewalk.
If we didn't get this rain, I can guarantee you a lot of that brush would be gone. As soon as we...
I
mean,
know.
we literally...
I know you guys are limited in what you can do because of the manpower, but put it in your book.
That's high on
I'd like
our
to see
that's high on
Meadow
our
Pond
list
when I
right
drive
now.
by there.
That's high on our list to get that done. And if we
Leave the
hadn't got
pine
this weather,
trees there. Good night.
Okay. All set, bro?
no,
Yeah,
we
it's
actually.
great, but, obviously you're aware of it, you knew right away.
Well, we actually sent talked with the conservation agent because you got to be a little careful around waterways.
Yeah, well, you have to get permission to cut any trees
Yeah,
along the
and
waterway.
we got the okay. So we had plans to do it. We're going to do it, a little bit before Christmas. We're going to focus on after the holidays. It's a great winter project
Yeah.
when there's no leaves there. We had, we have the chipper. Everything was ready to go, and we went into full water mode. And now, like I said, we've been putting more riprap all over the place, backing up roads than cutting
Yeah.
brush. But if we can get the rain to stop, snow's not a big deal. If you get breaks in the snow.
But then it's hard to cut, if you got a snow pile, it's hard
It's
to
tough,
cut the
but I
tree.
mean,
You
like
gotta
I
get-
said, a lot of the snow melts pretty quick now. So if we can get a decent little run, we're going to start. The first section we're going to do was at the cotton mill. That was the first section.
Yep.
Then we're going to go down to Arcade Pond section, and we're just going to work on all wherever the guardrails are to start. I mean, it'll take a few weeks, but if we can get the weather to cooperate a little, and we'll get in there.
Yeah, I mean, years ago,
We
they
want to
would,
clear a little bit around off Carr Street too. So there's many areas. There's many
Right.
areas we want to get to now.
yeah, well, Carr Street for a while, the Meadow Pond was actually going onto the road, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But we paved that. We raised the elevation a little bit, and
Yeah.
it seems to have done the trick.
Yeah, I went by there today and it's in better shape than it was in the past.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Right. But there again, these streets were not designed for what we got now.
Nothing was. Nothing in this area. Not just this town. I mean, nowhere.
Right.
A lot of stuff was built on the fly. I mean, this town, any mill town, they
Right.
built what they needed to supply workers to get them to mills, and that was about it.
Yeah,
Everything else was an afterthought.
everything was done to support the mill, not,
course.
not the community.
Well, it's funny, when people call up and engineers will call up or whatever, and they're doing studies or they need to get information, and they'll ask for drainage maps. Trying to find a drainage map of
Right.
what's in this town's virtually impossible. They literally did whatever they wanted to do, put it wherever they want, and because they could.
Right.
And it served, and it works, but trying to map it out, what ends up over there. How it gets there, anybody's guess.
I do have a book on when they proposed the storage for Rockdale
Okay.
in the 1920s.
Wow.
I got it from my grandfather. And it talked about how there was a big problem in Rockdale because everybody, they had on-site sewer.
It's popular back in the day.
Everybody had septic tanks unless they were along the river, then it was just going into the
They
river.
didn't even have septic tanks. They had
Just holding tanks.
holding tanks, yeah.
Yeah,
Cesspools.
cesspools. Yeah,
Yep.
and they had to do something because it got so bad. And it was an engineering firm from Boston that drew up the proposal.
Some of those lines are still in there.
Oh, yeah.
They did a good job.
Yeah, well, they relined a lot of them because
Yeah.
of the infiltration.
Yeah, the I&I, which we continue to do every year.
Yeah.
We actually have another segment of it getting done. I was just actually talking to our consultant the other day. We're going to get going on that again. Another section of I&I work, pipelining, which helps.
Right. And a lot of it's being funded by the new construction.
Well, yes. Depending on when subdivisions go in, they give betterments to different projects.
Right.
The sewer, the I&I work is virtually funded through our retained earnings and our enterprise fund. So taxpayers aren't, in theory, paying for that. Only the
Right.
sewer users are paying for that. So it's not like we're using tax money for none.
Right.
So
Right. Well, the sewer it's an enterprise,
yeah,
so that's the way it should be.
yes,
Because then only the people that are benefiting from it are getting the work.
exactly.
They're paying for it, but they're getting
Yep.
the work.
Yep.
Now, you're gonna get new sidewalks on Church Street.
Church Street.
Uh,
Church Ave.
No, Church Street
Church
from,
Street.
the Stonehill project.
Yes, there's about 100 feet going in that was part of 100 or 150 feet that was part of the acceptance there. I met with them in the fall.
Yeah.
They're going to try and get it in the fall. This construction season was horrible.
Oh, I know.
It
The weather was not very good.
rained every third day. Paving companies were so backed up. Everyone was backed up. You couldn't
Right.
get anything done. So what should have been done in the fall, like a couple of our roads, will now be in the spring. But yes, we spoke with them. They did some preliminary work, but they're going to get some more in there.
Right, that's to fix up the sidewalks going down to the senior center.
Yeah, but it's only about 100 feet.
Right, but hey,
Yeah.
100 feet is quite a
They
bit.
did a bunch of it already.
Yeah,
They did a bunch of it already. They got to go back and pave, what they disturbed, putting it in. But they got the majority of it done, not all of it. There's a little more to go.
everything we can get done like that is a plus.
That one was arranged before I was in my position. So and
Right, I
that's
was
the
on
other
the
thing is
planning-
transition.
I
We're
was on the planning
still
board when we
we're
worked that
still
out.
still finishing up things that we're kicking around. So we do the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, you get the contractors do a lot of stuff like that that people don't see.
Yes, and not behind the scenes, but for people that want to go to those meetings and hear what's going on. Which I
Right.
mean, let's face it, who really wants to go to them unless you have a vested interest in it?
Right.
You can't blame
You know
anyone.
who really makes that is the water company because they come in, they put water lines in, hydrants, the whole works, and then they turn it over to the water company for free.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's part of the deal with the water company. They make out in those situations, but
Yeah.
then they have to maintain it.
Right.
Which the treatment on the water is a lot. It's
That's the other thing too now. You have to maintain, well, you have responsibilities
yeah,
for
it's
a
responsibility.
portion of a water company.
Well, a portion of the town.
Portion of the
It's an
town,
odd
yeah.
marriage. If you looked at Northbridge as a whole and you drew a diagonal line,
Right,
the lower half is owned and controlled by the Whitensville Water Company,
yep.
and the northern half of town, northeasterly half, is owned by Northbridge Water Department,
Well, I can
which
tell
is
you what the reason for that is.
oh, please do.
Paul Whiten Manufacturing, the
Okay.
mill down here in Rockdale,
Yep.
they owned it. The part that is not, is part of Northbridge now.
Mhm.
When they went out of business in 1953, they turned it over to the town of Northbridge,
Okay.
and town of
That's-
Northbridge owned it ever since.
And which is difficult because our water department consists of me.
Right,
We have no personnel.
no,
We sub everything to the Whitensville Water Company
Right.
because they're all tied in together, all the
Right.
system. And the more important part is Whitensville, Northbridge has no water source, so we have to purchase all of our water
Right.
from the Whitensville Water
the
Company.
water source originally came off of Sutton Street. There were a series of wells on
Wells over
Sutton
there, yep.
Street.
Yeah.
They're still there.
Yeah, it's on the backside off of Railroad Street, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the pumping stations, but the wells were actually, Bryan Circle, if you go in there, there's one,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah.
Yeah.
There were wooden buildings,
Really?
yeah.
Well, they're long since defunct, so now we have to purchase
Right.
all of our water.
But now,
from there.
the pumping station next to the bridge
Yep.
in Rockdale, that's still in operation.
Yeah.
Because they're selling the water to the golf course.
Yes. Yeah, that's that bend that comes through on 122.
Right.
There's that funky little 2-inch line that
In
shoots
fact,
up.
your old boss, I was telling him about that. He said, I was wondering what that was.
That's what it is.
Hell yeah,
That's what that one I knew about.
yeah. It goes up to the golf course.
Yeah, it's an odd marriage with the water company. It's strange.
Yep.
It works. They're very responsive. I haven't had any difficulties with them. It's just tough when you mix public and private.
Right.
It's an odd marriage, but we've made the best of it. They do great work when we need them. You know, they've
Right.
always helped out. It's two-way street. We help them as much as we can, and they help us. So
Right.
it works.
Yeah, see, when the White Machine Works owned the Winesville Water Company, it wasn't called it that. Well, in the 1950s, they wanted to get rid of it. They sold it to R.H. White and Del Barnes.
Which back then RH White bought a bunch of them up back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's where the breakup came. But, but we're managing. I remember they put new line in Rockdale
Which
in the 50s.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I was a youngin' then. I remember watching they dug the line up and put a new line in, a main line, but
No,
there's
hopefully
other parts.
Hopefully you'll see one in the next year or a couple of years on Church Ave. Hopefully, so
Yeah.
you'll get to see a new one again. Hopefully,
But another thing though we're doing is that you got the Community Preservation Committee now,
Mhm.
which we're collecting tax money. I'm on that committee.
Yep.
Getting a lot of good things done. Great
Yeah.
job in the Linwood,
Oh, the basketball courts, that
Basketball
came out
court.
beautiful. That was a great project. That was a collaboration between, planning, obviously, from the Community Preservation Fund part of
Right.
it. The Parks and Recs people really worked hard on that. Our
Yep.
town manager, I had a part in it. It was a really good project. Came out really good.
Yeah.
Right
to
now,
include pickleball.
pickleball is huge.
Yeah.
Since that place opened, there has been people there every day they could be. Unfortunately, they haven't been there the last couple of days because it is inundated with water. So we've been pumping it out.
No, if it gets covered with snow, you clean the snow off of it?
No, because we destroy all the paint.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
we
say.
destroy all the paint.
So once it's snow covered, you gotta wait till
They
it's
can
snow
broom it
melts.
off, which they did originally so when they had a little bit, they can broom it off, but they can't scrape it, shovel it. It
Right.
would destroy the paint. But right now we just got a little drainage issue because the retention area that was there was never designed to take 10 inches. I mean, all summer it was fine.
Well,
And it rained a lot this
there's
summer.
no place in town that
No.
could take that kind of rain.
So, you know, when we had our first 2 inches, the 2.5 inches of rain the second time, after we got all the roads under control, I said, let's go take a look up there because, you know, I want to see how it took it. And the water it was a little layer of ice, and the retention pond was full, and it was just a glaze of ice over the pickleball court. So what we ended up doing with the sewer department was bring a 4-inch pump. We pumped it down. It held.
Yeah.
Then we got 4 more inches of water. It's filled up again. So what we're doing now is pumping it out again, trying to do it a little bit slower. I mean, we're going to look into it in the spring if we have to expand it a little bit, the retention area. But to be fair, it rained every weekend this summer, and we had no flooding issue back there at all. So, you know, I think it's just the amount of water that's coming off the ledge on that backside of the park. So,
Well, you know, they used to have, at the high school, they had a basketball court that was sunk a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one here that was over on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would do in the fire department in the winter would fill it up with water.
make it ice skating.
They made ice
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that on the new basketball courts. That would, no.
No.
We just leave it the way it is and play
Yeah.
basketball on it. And it really, it came out really good. It came out on time, under budget. You know, it really was a great project. It was a great consultant we had, good engineering for it. Really, really came out good. We will get through this drainage issue. It's not a
Right.
huge one. We pump it down, you know, and we pumped it down in between storms. People were back playing pickleball the next day. It was great to see. They can't fill. There's not enough time slots. They're in there at night. You know, those lights are on till 8, 9 at night, and there's people playing. It's great. It's great.
Lights on a timer?
Yes, they're on a timer as well as it's remotely controlled too, so you can override it, whatever you have to do.
Oh, okay.
It's controlled by the Parks and Rec, so they have total control.
But you pay the bill.
Well, I mean, that is what it is.
I know.
It's no problem.
You can pay the electric bill for the whole town.
We pay the electric bill for every light, every street light, every
Yeah.
traffic light, every town building. Yeah.
Have all the streetlights been converted now?
All the street lights are converted. They've been converted for a few years. What we do is we have a running list. We have a subcontractor that comes in every 3 months or so when the list gets big enough, and they go out and make the necessary repairs, you know, shortages, change the bulbs, because we don't have anyone.
Yeah, no, they're no longer the responsibility of National Grid.
No, that was part of the deal when the town purchased the street lights from National Grid from the previous town manager and my former boss. They purchased them. So now it falls under us, so it's just another thing we
But it
deal with.
lowered your electric bill considerably, right?
Well, the LEDs did, yes.
Yes.
The LEDs did, but they got a grant to purchase the lights. They felt that was the way to go, and
Right.
so now we deal with it.
Yeah, but by doing that, though, it lowered your cost.
Well, the
because-
LEDs absolutely did lower the price,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And by National Grid not responsible for it anymore, you're not charging you for that. They didn't do it for free.
No, nobody does anything for free.
No, you were actually leasing the lights at
Well,
the
when
time.
they purchased all the lights, that was when they all went back on. Because before there was only certain street lights that were on. You know, if they were around a
Right.
bend or
Yeah.
dead ends or this,
So
and
that
there was a
part
whole
of the-
criteria.
That goes back to the late 1980s when we had severe cuts,
Mm-hmm.
early 90s. And we almost went totally blacked out the town because they had to cut the budget.
Yep. So once they went to LEDs, all the lights are on all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, you know, it never fails. We'll go out and fix a bunch of lights. Our contractor will go out and fix a bunch of lights, and 2 days later, someone will call with an out. And you know, they'll call back 3 weeks later. Well, you said it was. We just did it. Now you got to wait for the next round. We don't have someone to go
Right.
every day to do it. We wait till there's a list build up and try and do it quarterly, every 3 months or two to 3 months. And
Well, it wouldn't be
get out there.
economical to have a guy come in just to fix one light.
No.
You know, they're gonna charge you to come in here and do that.
Oh, I mean, it's
Might as well we'll get them all.
you got to be
get a bunch of them
licensed.
done.
You got to have a bucket truck. You got to be licensed.
Right.
There's a lot of stipulations on who can touch anything from National Grid. It's
Yeah.
quite an extensive thing. It's not just going up and screwing a light bulb in.
Right. Yeah, so you get them here and make it worth your while.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, we've come a long way. We've since those days when 2.5 first came into effect, and we were having a cut. But now, we're running out of time. But pretty soon we're looking to get rid of the former primary school, right?
Yes. That That was open for bids for proposals, not bids, but proposals. That's open. There's a couple people that were looking. That came down. A couple firms that came down. We gave them tours of it. They are probably designing them as we speak. I believe, I don't want to speak for the town manager. I believe they're expecting something in the spring turnover to present to the town. Hopefully, plans that the town will vote on to
Right.
accept to get rid of that school off the town's hands.
And you'll be glad when that happens.
I will be very glad when that happens because we have to go fix. Half the place is boarded up from broken windows. The heat cost is phenomenal.
Yeah. Nobody's in there, and you have to heat it because you have broken pipes everywhere.
It's been interesting. It's
Yeah.
been an interesting undertaking. So it's tough with empty buildings. Fortunately, for a few months out of the year, the Toys for Tots are in there, so there's at least people in there, which
Right.
makes it better. But other than that, it's just an empty building we got to go check on all the time
Yeah.
to make sure. And there's issues,
Yeah.
but I'll be happy when that goes.
Yeah, and you'll be getting the Aldrich School will be off your list too.
Well, yeah, that's
Once they move into the annex.
yes. We still technically will own the building, but it'll be a lease to the
Right,
Whitensville.
and they'll be taking care of it.
Yeah, they have big plans for in there, which we've been working. I've met with their architects many times to give them tours of the different parts of that building because it's quite a maze in there.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of hidden little rooms and staircases in there. But yeah, that hopefully next 2 months they'll be out of there, and that'll be one less building.
Right. I mean, you had some maintenance there. You had to take those oil tanks out.
Yes, yeah, the underground oil tanks.
Yeah. So I mean, there's all
There at
expenses.
town hall, we had to take out the underground oil tanks.
Yeah. Now, well, at town hall, they were on gas.
Everything's on gas now, except a couple. Obviously, the sewer treatment plant buildings they're on oil because they're out. You could never get a gas line back
Yeah,
there.
yeah, you have to go under the railroad tracks and everything else.
The Veterans Building, Pine
Yeah.
Grove, the library was converted last year. That's gas. So all the town buildings now are running on gas, which is good for a couple reasons. You don't have to worry about them running out of oil anymore. We used to
Right.
get calls, the library ran out of oil over a long weekend and they had 2 tanks. Now you don't have that problem,
Nope.
which is good. And gas, it fluctuates. Right now gas is a little cheaper, but it always fluctuates. There's always, you're never going to save money, but less of a
Well,
headache
No, it's the cheapest thing you can heat with right now.
right now.
So, I mean, yeah, it'll go up, but oil goes up as well.
Everything does.
And, but they did put the minis in the town hall.
Yeah, that was a Green Community grant
Yeah.
a few years back because, quite frankly, it wasn't much fun taking 24 to 30, 27 air conditioners out in the fall and storing them and then putting them back in
I
the
know.
windows every spring. It
Yeah.
was a lot,
A
and it
lot
was
of, yeah, and
not
and
economical.
That was your crew.
That was our crew, and it was not economical. The cost you save with not the window units in a building like that, now because that whole building's on one heating zone, so you
Yeah.
can have one side of that building that's hotter than the other, and so now with the split systems, you got kind of control over your own office,
Right,
which
right.
is a lot better for
And they're
everybody.
economical.
Very much so compared to before.
Yes. And finally, we got to go.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming in, Jamie.
an absolute pleasure. I
Yeah.
look forward to my yearly chat with you.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back. We'll probably have you back in the spring when you finally get your road.
I'll be happy to come in.
Yeah.
I'll be
Let
happy to
people
come
know
in.
what roads are going to be doing and what it's going to look like.
Sure.
Right. Hopefully, I'm looking for a guest for next week, but right now we got one in 2 weeks, but maybe we'll be here next week.